what did you have to do within yourself to develop yourself for seven figures?
I would say we had to get out of rural Georgia. We, of course, we built it a seven-figure business, but to be able to take it to where we want to take it, to be able to really have legacy, we had to get out of South Georgia.
Welcome to another episode of Live the Grace Life. I'm your host, Corey Holman. And today I'm really excited because we have trailblazers in the house. And listen, we've been working on mindset, being able to take your mind where you can begin to think bigger and be able to take what you're doing to the next level. And we have two guests today that have done that, and they have innovated the senior care industry. Listen, help me welcome Miss Eshonda and Miss Jessica Wright of Innovative Senior Solutions.
Hi.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
They've been doing this for 18 years, I hear.
Yes.
So let's talk about it, all right? So let me give y'all some background. Now, they've done some things with us where they came and spoke. They were our Innovators Roundtable one time and dropped some nuggets, y'all. So listen, this is not an episode that you want to click off. You want to tune in and make sure you're tuned in. So let's talk about where your journey started, what got you started into this industry?
Will I take it? We do this all the time.
And she knows she shares the story.
Well, we've been in business for 18 years, but professionally, I've been doing this since I was 22, and I graduated as a registered nurse. And my background was in nursing homes. I've always worked in nursing homes. I've always worked for seniors. I found out real early that, I like to say that I'm not a nurse, because when people think of a nurse, they think of bedside nurse, someone that's doing medications and dressing changes and things of that. But I was always attracted to, I call it the third floor when I think back to the hospital when I worked. That's where the nurses were that were the supervisors and the director of nurses and the management team. I was attracted to that. And that was the first time I saw a glass ceiling, because I could see them up there, but I could not see how to get myself up there. But to answer your question, I think I've been working with seniors all of my life. It was a calling, for sure.
Wow. I didn't know that. So I didn't know that you previously were already in that, industry of kind of working with seniors.
Yes.
So what led to you starting this new industry? I know your story a little bit, but I want our audience to kind of hear it too. Yeah.
Well, I'm 8 years older than Jessica, and she also became a nurse, and she ended up working in the nursing home field as well.
Okay.
And for us, our grandmother, we grew up with her. We spent a lot of time with her. She took care of us. She took care of our first cousins. She took care of children, other people's children. So when we used to go to her house, I don't know how many of us was in there, but you still felt like it was just you. Like you got individual care. You just ate the best food ever in my life. And
what was your favorite?
Oh my God, it would be her biscuits.
Hands down.
It was the biscuits. But she's going to eventually get where she can't stay home by herself. She needed a knee replacement. And, back then, older people called it going under the knife. And she just straight out refused. And it's going to be bone on bone. She can't walk. But she was still in a good mind and spirit. It was just she couldn't walk, without assistance. And she told us she didn't want to go to a nursing home, and she never asked for anything. In fact, we knew all she really wanted was to be able to get down the hall, and I mean just a few feet from her bedroom to her den, and I call that den her sanctuary, because she had this big recliner chair, and in front of that chair, you remember those TVs that were, I think they were floor model. She had one of those.
We had one too.
And around her was pictures of all her grandkids, kids she took care of. That was her sanctuary. And if she could get to that chair and watch her favorite shows, anything with Andy Griffith, and she watched the stories, and she loved this preacher.
oh my God.
G.E. Patterson.
Oh,
Patterson.
yes,
Patterson.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I had to think
yes.
about it.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
because we had to watch it too. And but that's all she really wanted. And so when she asked for that, and our backgrounds working in a nursing home, which is institutional care, it's a different type of care, and that we're not against nursing homes. There's a need for nursing homes for people that need it, but she just needed someone who could stay with her at home and help her with ADL care. And we wanted her to be able to maintain her privacy, her dignity, but most importantly, her choice. This is something that she wanted, and we wanted to give it to her. And that is how we started our company. She was our very first client, Innovative Senior Solutions. We started out doing home care.
Yeah.
Is she still out today?
No.
I think after we started with her, I think she lived maybe 2 more years.
Yeah.
She lived out her life.
That gave her that
at home.
opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it makes a difference. It makes a difference. I think anybody that has grandparents, great grandparents, with my grandparents, she's in her 80s now, and it's she don't want to drive no more, that type of thing. But the way they're doing housing now, they kind of have like that senior housing that they're doing, and so her, like you said, her living room is like not that far.
Right.
Like literally like 2 steps, she's in her living room, that type of thing. So that's amazing though, that your vision was started from someone that you care about. So let's go into the next thing. What was your biggest challenge in building your rural? Well, I'm saying we're calling it a rural business because it was built in Americas, right? But it's not rural, and it ain't regular, as Stephanie in our previous episode. But what was one of your biggest challenges in building that business?
Again, Eshonda already told you we are nurses, right? We wasn't entrepreneurs, and so we wanted to get it right. And so we started intentionally in one county, in Sumter County, because we wanted to build our business on care, on integrity, making sure we had quality care. And so we focused on that. We focused on doing the care, doing what our clients needed us to do, and making sure we met their needs. And so not being entrepreneurs, we knew we wanted to focus on care, on systems, having a strong foundation. That was very important for us.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
So what would you say was the biggest challenge though?
I think if I can answer it, I think like Jessica said, because we continue to work our own jobs as nurses, and we would get off work, and we actually was in a business incubator. We was at South Georgia Tech in the business incubator. It was a new project they had. We were one of the first ones in there, and so we just had this cubicle and 2 chairs, a desk, and 1 computer, 1 file cabinet, and we would go there after work every day, and like Jessica said, we just really focused on care until it became more than just focusing on care.
So, and you may have answered this, but just to make sure, so y'all didn't jump out full time. You were still working. Okay. So how long did you?
I think we stayed there 3 years, and I like to think that we had the best business foundation from starting in that business incubator, because there was the director of economic development at South Georgia Tech at the time. His name was Wally Summers. He was so attached to us, like he took a liking to us. And when we would get off, if it was someone he thought we needed to meet, like the president of the chamber, or he introduced us to Sarah Walls, who was over River Valley Funding. Like if it was someone he thought we needed to meet, they would be sitting there waiting on us. He had them there sitting there waiting on us, and he gave us all kind of. He was like a coach, really. He was coaching us, and I can remember one day he said, "Y'all still in here?" And it had been really 3 years, but we were growing, and I would say it took us 3 years to really. We made a decision to move downtown, and at that same time, we made a decision for Jessica to come on full time. I was still working my job, so that's how we left the.
So at what
business.
stage, and I would say what year did you join into the team, like in terms of full time? I mean, you are a part of the team, but in terms of full time working on the.
year 3. So
Year 3, okay.
3, 2010 is when I came on full time in the business, and as every startup, we did every role in our business, being HR, being
Marketing.
nursing, marketing. Yes, we did all the things. And so, but I think that was important. That was a very important time to be able to build our business. And I think when Eshonda came on full time, we were able to go to that next level.
So let me ask you this. So you all went through this incubator. I think that's important for entrepreneurs to understand that even they went through an incubator and how important it is to go through that process. But in terms of your family, did you all grow up seeing anybody running a business?
This is funny because I heard Jessica when I was thinking, Jessica said, well, we wasn't entrepreneurs, but we really were. We just didn't know it. We come from a family full of entrepreneurs, but they don't call it that. And it definitely wasn't a thing that was highlighted. Our dad was an entrepreneur. He had his own business. He owned his own construction company. Okay. And then his dad was an entrepreneur. He had his own mechanic shop in New Jersey. And then my mom's dad was an entrepreneur. He owned a farm. And his dad was an entrepreneur. He owned a farm. So it was like we come from a line of entrepreneurs, but nobody taught that. Nobody... it's go to school, get your college education, and go get you a good job.
Yep.
It was never stressed, so it was interesting. So I think it was in our DNA.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because now entrepreneurship is so glamorous, right? Everybody want to be an entrepreneur. When we were going to listen, we want to go get a job. We don't, when we were looking at our parents, our grandparents, oh, we don't want to do that. But
I think I know the difference too.
Yeah.
I think the difference too, Jess. I think about when Mom said, Granddaddy told her, "Now if you don't go to college, you finna go work in this field." I think, for them, entrepreneurship was hard work, and it still is.
Absolutely.
And I think maybe that's why it wasn't so glamorous, because they just remember the hard work.
It's true. I think one of the things that when I was contemplating whether to do this or not, one of the things my mom had said, she was just like, now you got to understand your uncle, your uncles, your aunts, they're entrepreneurs, whether you realize them or not. So it's running through your blood. And sometimes you don't look at your family members. Oh, he just got a junkyard. Well, that's his business.
That's his business.
It's not junk. He owns that, what may be considered junk, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's for those that may not have grown up with that, coaching or that, because I grew up in the same, my parents, go get an education, go to college. And I just didn't like college. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't something that I was like, my siblings went, got masters. I went, but I just didn't like it, But my mind is still a person that wants to build. I'm very creative. I'm very hardworking, And so that's interesting. I thought that was interesting about that. So let's go into the next thing. So when you think about the two of you, and I think that's beautiful that you're sisters, right? Mm-hmm. And you're working together in a business. You've been building this for 18 years. And let's be honest, I don't really know a lot of siblings that work well together. So how do you all complement each other well, in building this business?
Well, we stay in our lane, right? I know what my strengths are, and Eshonda has her strengths, and we let each other do that. I don't try to get over and do what she's good at, and vice versa. So I think that's very important. And we just know that this is our calling. This is something that we're both very passionate about. We know that it's our ministry. We know that it's our purpose. And so I guess even though we have, every day is not good. Of course, we have disagreements, but we're able to just bounce back. We don't take anything, it's said and done. The next day, we're good to go. So I don't know. I think it's just predestined. This is what we're supposed to do. And so it just works so well. I don't even know how to say it, because it works really well.
Yeah, I think definitely starting out, the good thing about it is I know she has my back, and she know I has her back, and we're both working towards the same goal. So having that, as you start building a team of people, trust is very important. So we definitely had that trust factor. Jessica she is that nurse. She's good at care. That's what she do. She's got a heart. She has the biggest heart I ever seen, and that's what she pulls out in our company. And that's what she's good at. She's got a lot of other things too, but she's over to care for the company. I'm kind of like the visionary, and I like the business kind of stuff. I like strategy, and we come together as a team. Of course, we do come together and we talk about things that need to be talked about. But as she said, I think we both focus on our lane. We know what we're good at, and we do what we're good at.
And it's beautiful because if you can build a business within your family, like with your siblings, that's legacy, right? And you all are doing that. I mean, your children and y'all are in the business. I've seen it. It's like that's amazing. I think it's just your children, right?
Listen, our mom and dad works with us. My dad has like built and remodeled several buildings for us. Now he's 76 now, so he's not able to do that like he used to. But if we wouldn't have had him, I don't know what we would have done. He's over our maintenance right now. He was over our vans, our fleet of vans at one point. Our mom, that when they both retired, they came and helped us. Our mom, she's a retired basketball coach, track coach. She does activities for us now. She get the kids when we need her to get the kids. I know we went into a new market. We had went into Waycross, and we could not find a van driver. My parents went and stayed there for 3 months and drove the clients until we were able to find drivers. And they're still working with us. Like they work sometimes because when we go to vacation together, I'd be like, oh boy. Because they don't turn off. That's a different generation. Like we trying to vacation and no, they don't turn off. But so our parents work with us. Our brother works with us. It's 3 of us. We're 8 years apart. So he was also a coach. We actually got him on the team, so he's over our transportation. My daughter is 30, Kayla, and she started working at probably 15. She's done every role. She started out as a caregiver. She did that for many years. Then she eventually got promoted to administrative assistant. And then she did that, and then she started doing marketing, and then she became a manager over one of our centers, and today she's director of admissions. My son, who's 26, also works with us. He started out as a caregiver at 16, and now he's our corporate caregiver. So, because we got 5 adult day centers, but we got some more personal care homes too. And if we're ever out of caregiver, he goes and stays until we find someone. And so he works with us. Is it anybody else?
Whitney, she's our director of
Business expansion.
And she's our cousin. So, yeah, it's a family business.
That is a family business. Yeah. So for our listeners, and I kind of skipped over this part because I know these individuals, so I wanted to kind of dive right into the topic, but I want them to kind of share about what it is you all do, right? So our audience is aware that if they have, relatives that are getting up in age, how do you all serve them?
We improve the lives of seniors and those with disabilities by keeping them in their home and community longer, and we do that through adult day services. So individuals are able to get daytime care, which is the most reliable care. And it's not just day care, it's health care. So they're able to get socialization, activities, meals, transportation. A nurse is there to identify any changes in conditions. We help keep seniors and those with disabilities in their home and communities longer.
And that's important. I don't think if anybody that has grandparents or even parents that are up in age, they need that. Like that makes them live longer. One of the things that I'll share is this. So my grandmother, my family is from like Terrell County. So, she had a house on a dirt road, which was named after my uncle. It was Billy Strong Road, and he owned a junkyard. It was Uncle Billy's Junkyard, something like that. Anyway, so she grew up on that dirt road, and her house was there. And so as she got older, she didn't want to be out there by herself. You could see her kind of deteriorating in terms of her health as well as mental. but we moved her into a senior community, and it was almost like
Night and day.
night and day.
Yeah.
And so the work that you all do, people don't realize that being in a community, no matter what age, affects you mentally.
Yeah.
And you can actually die quicker if you're in isolation.
Yes.
It's the number one cause of cognitive decline,
Wow.
isolation.
Yeah. So how many centers do you all have?
We have 5 adult day centers. We have a 24-bed personal care home here in Albany. We're in Columbus, Valdosta, Albany, Americus, and Baxley.
Where would you say in which community that you get like the absolute most response, like in terms of people that you serve?
Probably Valdosta. We've only been there a couple of years. We actually acquired that center. It was an acquisition. And I don't know, once we start marketing, like that center grew 260% in 1 year. It was crazy. So, yeah.
I thought Columbus would be the one, but Valdosta.
But we just started in Columbus in November.
Oh.
Yeah, we
Okay.
just started. So, yeah.
I thought you were there for a little bit because I remember seeing the average, like that's right, it did see that. When I'm seeing things, I'm thinking it's been there for a while, but I did see the announcement on that. Okay. So they're in all these different communities, and of course, Albany, in Americus, right? Americus, yeah, absolutely. All right. So let me ask you this. One of the things that we want to highlight is how they've been innovative in this space. And so one of the things that we encourage entrepreneurs is not just look at your product, look at your service, think about how you can innovate that entire industry.
Yeah.
If you are selling lip gloss, how do you innovate and do things differently? And you all are known, it's in your name, Innovative Senior Solutions.
right.
Tell us how you've been innovative in that senior care industry.
I know you want us to touch on mindset too. Can I touch on the business
Go
side?
wherever you feel.
And then Jess, you can touch on
Feel
the
free.
innovation side.
Yeah.
Like Jessica, like we talked about, we started out doing home care, and we did that for many, many years. But we've had many pivots, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't know that sometimes you have to pivot, and it's okay. But we started out home care. We grew that thing. I would probably say year 5 is when we crossed 7 figures. So we've been making 7 figures for a long time. And I can remember I was looking at some financials, and I looked up at Jess and I said, Jess, we made $1 million last year, and we just went right back to work.
Yep.
There was no celebration.
Yep.
There was no talk about it, and but anyway, we started to see cracks around that time, and that's when we needed more systems. We needed more to be able to go to the next level. And one of the things that we started to see was the margins. The margins were not good. Even though we were making, close to $3 million, we were spending it all out. And I don't know. So when we started looking at the margins, it was like, okay, we're paying our caregivers. I think back then, was it $12?
Yeah.
$12 an hour. We were charging clients $15 an hour. You see, it's already slim. And then when you start counting in overhead, mileage, overtime, we were in the red. We were in the red, and we was like, we've got to do something about this. What are we going to do? And we had the opportunity to go to Tuck. And if anybody ever, an entrepreneur, I strongly recommend to go to Tuck. They have a business education platform for minorities. We stayed there for a full week. And they have this professor, I don't know if you can remember his name, but he consulted for Tesla. This is how smart this guy is. And he took one look at our financials, and he said, you will be out of business in 6 months. You'll be out of business in 6 months.
$1 million business.
A multi-million dollar business.
Multi-million dollar business will be out of business
In 6 months.
Wow.
And we were like, what are we going to do? And so we went back home from Tuck, that was up in Boston, and we were like, what are we going to do? And so we started looking at our clientele, which at the time we were probably like 90% Medicaid. And the first thing we started to do was, okay, let's diversify. Let's get private pay where we can charge more.
Absolutely.
Because Medicaid, we were capped at what we could charge. So we started doing that, and I think we got about 50-50 private pay Medicaid. Then we had to start discharging clients. Like the clients that we were not making any money, Am I okay to talk business like this? Because I'm
Absolutely.
talking
You
business.
I want you to.
So we had to start, discharging some of those clients. So, sometimes you just take everybody when you first start.
Absolutely.
Well, we started seeing that we can't survive. And so we started discharging some of those clients. And we had discharged probably 15.
Yeah.
And then I woke up one morning. I said, Jessica. And it was almost like it was a whisper for God.
I know.
I'm serious. I said, Jessica, we can sell this. And a guy had asked us probably like 6 or 7 months ago about buying our business. And of course, nobody teaches you that.
Yeah.
And so that was taboo. Like,
That's the negative thing.
We're not going to sell our business. I didn't even give it a thought. I was like, I said, I'm going to call this guy that approached us. And so I did. Yeah. I called him and I said, listen, we're interested in selling now. And he said, yeah, we're still interested. And so that process began. They started doing their due diligence. I think at the time we went to Tuck, we probably had over 100 clients. By the time we sold, we probably had 50 clients. But they were high-paying clients. We had changed the
model.
But we had got down to 50 clients. The good thing about it, though, is we had great market share. We had all our financials in place. Like, even though we're a small rural business, we had all our ducks in a row. All our things was in a row. And so, they bought us for, over $1 million, 1.5 million. And we were getting ready to, we were giving away clients.
We're just going to walk away from it.
And, yeah. And so that's how we came out of the home care industry. We sold it. We had to do a non-compete for 5 years, and which means we couldn't go back into home care. And so we made that pivot at the time. That was 2019, right before the pandemic. We decided to open a 24-bed personal care home. And at the time, we had 2 adult day centers. We had one here in Albany and one in Americas. But even though we were doing those things, we wasn't focusing on it. Like, home care was our flagship.
Okay.
It got all our time and attention and focus. And so we, I don't know. So in 2019, we got into that. We started coaching and consulting people how to start their own personal care homes. When we got that, I guess when we sold, we used the money to buy real estate. So we didn't go splurge, and we put all that money back into real estate and bought properties, senior care properties. We bought houses that we turned into personal care homes. We bought adult day centers. If it was something that we didn't own, we bought it. Yeah. So everything that we own and operate, we own. And I think we had probably maybe 26 properties when we got through over 2 years. That's what we invested back in. But so got into real estate, got into coaching, which was all, I think you do everything for a reason. Because when we were consulting, we were teaching people how to do the residential personal care homes, which are the small ones. People call them group homes. You can't have but 6 people in there. Well, we learned doing that, that's a tough business. Financially, like, if you don't have all 6 people in there at all times getting Medicaid, you're going to be in the red. And a lot of people didn't understand that process. It just wasn't. We didn't like it because it wasn't good for them, and so we got out of it because I'm like, no, this is just not. This is a tough business model. It's doable, but you got to do it that way. Like, you got to be at full occupancy. And a lot of people couldn't do that. And so anyway, that was between 2019 to 2023. And we had this big strategic meeting in 2023. I don't got all off course.
No, I want you to feel free, because, and I'll give you a moment to think here. The reason I want you to go into this, because people can kind of see themselves in the story. Part of what you said is that there was a point where you had to let go of those low-paying clients, right? And that's something that a lot of times people don't want to do because they're either loyal to them, they don't want to build a bad reputation, those type of things. But when you start looking at your numbers and they're not numbering, you need to make some adjustments. Yeah. So that's one aspect that I want to make sure people are realizing. Sometimes you do outgrow clients, right? Yeah. And if they cannot grow with you, or you say, hey, I need a price increase and they can't go, let me send you to the next person. I'm not going to leave you hanging, but
That's
I'm going to send
right.
you to the
That's
next
right.
person.
That's right.
Because the numbers have to number,
The numbers
right?
the math got a math.
It's got a math, right? And to say y'all, it's because some people think, let's just be honest, if you're only making $60,000 a year, that's great for them, right? That's great for that mindset. But when people think $1 million, they think, oh, I got it. No, you got expenses.
Yes.
You got a lot of things. Like the more you grow, the more expenses you have. And so you all saying it, like you said, you went to the tuck and you shared that. So a lot of times people don't think that. They don't have that mindset. And so one of the things that I want you to kind of talk about is there are parts where your limitations happen in your mind. I'm not going to sell because that's not what I know. I'm not going to do this because I wasn't exposed to this. But it was also a limitation on where your business could go. Yeah. So let's talk about that, like that mindset shift that you were going through.
Yeah. That selling a business was, again, we were never exposed to it. In fact, when we sold, we heard negative connotation in the community. They don't went out of business, or just all kind of stuff. That but we're thinking we don't came up like we don't came out of a situation and we got life again that we can keep moving. But it taught us a whole nother way of thinking. Like now, everything that we build is to sell. Whether we want to keep it or not, it's built so we can sell it, and we build it in pieces. So things if we want to keep, we can keep. Things that we want to sell, we can sell. And a lot of people don't realize too that even though your business is making millions, the owners most of the time don't really see money until the sale. Because it's the expenses, it's the things that go on between it. But yeah, that opened up our mind to, everything now is built to sell. And now we know multiples. Now, when we sold the first time, we were just getting out of a situation. Now we know we're building a business because we want to get a greater multiple. We know we look at the EBITDA. They not buying with your revenue, they buying your profit. And so we've just learned so many different things. And now it's not even about the revenue; it's about the profit and the cash. So the different years have taught us that. Of course, we didn't know that back then. Back then, it was just about revenue. Now it's about looking at the balance sheet.
Imagine turning your business into a brand people can't stop talking about. Marketing that matters. The Entrepreneur's Guide to Growth and Success by Corey Holman. It's your blueprint for building unstoppable momentum. This book is packed with innovative ideas, action steps, and game-changing insights that you can use right now. Are you ready to disrupt your industry? Don't wait. Grab your copy now on Amazon and start dominating your market today.
All right, let's talk about this. So what are some of those key strategies that help you all to achieve like that 7-figure business, right? That model. I know you talked about, building a building to sell, but what about you as the individual, right? You as being the owners, what did you have to do within yourself to develop yourself for 7 figures?
I would say we had to get out of rural Georgia. We, of course, we built it a 7-figure business, but to be able to take it to where we want to take it, to be able to really have legacy, we had to get out of South Georgia. And I say that because we needed to be exposed to more. So we joined this mastermind, and when we joined this mastermind, the exposure was just crazy. It was being around 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs. The different speakers they had coming in. We've heard from Magic Johnson. We've heard from, what's the lady that owned all the iHeart radios? I can't think of her name. But anyway, we had really great speakers that we heard from, and just the exposure. We got exposed to selling businesses. We got exposed to buying business. We've actually bought 3 day centers at one time. We did an acquisition. We got exposed to real estate and understanding how to use that to build your empire. The exposure is everything. Yeah.
Yeah, exposure is everything. And I think that is one thing that we encourage entrepreneurs to do, especially in the space here. It's all about seeing things beyond where you are. Because once you go in and see something, you
Cannot
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 unsee it.
unsee it. You cannot
And
unsee
it's
it.
going to linger in your mind. I give you an example. There have been like when I love architect. I love buildings that have innovative designs, right? And every single time I go into spaces and I'm taking pictures, like, listen, because I want to refer back to this, because I know at one point I may not be at the level now, but one point, and that's how I've done. So even when I moved into this space, I'm like, I want to do this, I want to do that. But most of what I saw is what I'm building, right?
Yeah.
And you cannot build when you cannot see it,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
And so when we grow up in communities and that's not what we are exposed to, or we're limiting our exposure, then sometimes, because that's the idea, people think rural community, Albany, Georgia, and people say all this negative stuff, but there's a lot of good people building things here that are successful, right? And so it's just overcoming that mindset, all right? Well, how do you all navigate being women leaders in healthcare entrepreneurship? Has that been a challenge for you all?
I don't know if it's been a challenge. I think we just
And feel
never.
free, be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. You
Like you said,
know,
don't.
we're leaders in what we do, but we are experts. We're experts in an industry where we happen to be women, and so and everything has built us for this, and so not looking for validation, but to stand on what we have through our experiences, our exposures, and doing what we do day in and day out has made us experts. And so, not just looking at, in a male dominant, a white dominant industry.
Absolutely.
You have to be you. We sometimes look for validation, but we had to remember, we are experts. What we have done over the last 18 years have built us to be, to call ourselves the senior experts in what we do. And so,
Did y'all deal with, because a lot of people talk about imposter syndrome, right? You're in a room and you're just like, you know what I'm saying? Like we overcome it. You get to the point you're like, okay, that's beyond me now. But there are certain times when you're coming up the ranks where you're just like, I don't know if I feel comfortable here.
I think I was made for this. Even growing up, my mom, she coached, and so that meant she wasn't able to have me all the time because she was coaching, and so it was a white teacher that lived in Leslie, not far from us. We lived in Cobb, and so a lot of days I went home with her, and she had children, and the blessing in it was she treated me just like her children. And so from that, I think it took away color for me. And so that just, I don't know, I think that just opened a door for me. And then when I worked in corporate America, I got a corporate job at 25, a consultant for a nursing home. And I was the only Black female. And I was comfortable in those rooms. I just always been comfortable in those types of rooms. And then when we started our business, same rooms, and I just never felt uncomfortable. I was always okay, confident in knowing what we had, because we always knew how to give care. That was ours. That is our superpower, is the care, and I just never been afraid.
I love that, and that's good, and I love it because when you know what you're doing and you're confident in what you're doing, you can show up in any room, and you just being you because this is what you do.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you hear people have that, and I think one of the things what you all helped me with in one situation, when the last time we did the round table, I was sharing how there was just certain circles I just didn't necessarily want to be a part of. And it wasn't a race thing. It was just in general certain things I just didn't want to be a part of. And you all just said, you got to play the game, Corey. You got to play the game. And so, and it's not about doing anything bad. That's not what they were saying. They were just making sure you're putting yourself in these environments.
Yeah.
You got to be there. You got to have a seat at the table. And so you all helped me with that. And I have a seat at the table now, And so those are things that you all are doing and helping. others. So what advice would you give entrepreneurs, like any entrepreneur, whether they're minority or in general?
So much, so much. I'm going to start with the numbers, knowing your numbers.
Okay.
For us, like you said, we were nurses. We didn't know anything about business, but we have since learned. And in the beginning, we didn't know anything about a P&L or cash flow statement or the balance sheet. We had to learn it. I would say know your numbers, get your numbers every month, look at your numbers because that's your scorecard, and it tells you how you're performing. And that gives you time to make adjustments if you need to make adjustments. So I would say know your numbers.
I would say be confident in who you are. I think I heard Dr. Darius on a podcast, and he's from rural Alabama, I think, and he was mentioning that a lot of times that we as rural individuals, we get looked over. Like when we go to Atlanta, they see you're from rural Georgia, and they're like, well, oh, she has nothing to say. But to be able to be confident and to know your worth and to know that you are valuable and know that you're in the room for a reason and to stand in that, you just got to always remember that. Don't let where we're from, dictate or anyone else dictate what we have inside of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's funny Jessica said that because we were in this mastermind and we were the only, I want to say country bumpkins, but we were, we from South Georgia, and they were like, the two sisters from South Georgia, but we were showing up, we were going toe to toe with everybody else. And, but yeah, that's good, Jess.
Okay. All right, that's good. So what are some things that, in terms of your legacy, what do you hope that your organization represents for the community?
I'm going to speak, and then I'll let you talk on the community. I want our organization to show up for our family. I want to have a family legacy where it affects at least 3 to 4 other generations. That's what we're trying to build. We're trying to build something bigger than us. We're leaving something that the family can have. For me, my grandfather had, I don't know how many acres, hundreds of acres, and he lost it. And he didn't have, he didn't know what we knew. And I know that hurt him I don't want to cry. But we want to make sure that when we leave, that we're going to leave a legacy that can be carried on for multiple generations.
Yeah. And I think for me, the legacy of Innovative Senior Solutions is bringing care in rural areas, having options, bringing economic development in rural areas, supplying jobs, letting people that look like us know that they can own businesses, own multi-million-dollar businesses, and it doesn't have to be the typical businesses that you see. You can go into different industries and rule that industry. So, that's the legacy that we want to leave. That you see innovative and you say, yes, it's possible.
Yeah. And let me say this: people are doing it because I'm doing it, right? I remember seeing you all. I think this was a few years ago, and I think this is before I even had a business. Maybe I don't remember, but I saw you doing things with Albany Community Together, and I don't know if it was on some ad or something. They were highlighting you all at some point, and I didn't really know your story in terms of that, but I was like, wow, these ladies are doing it. Like, this is amazing. And then I got to learn more about what you all do, and then you all just kind of share it more. So you're inspiring other people. You're inspiring this community to think bigger, to want to build their own legacy, and then to innovate in their own industry. So I got a question when it comes to your faith, right? How have faith, your purpose, and your personal values guided your vision and your leadership?
It's everything. Because you go into these other rooms. We talked about sitting at those different tables. But I can sit at that table and I know who I am. and not be persuaded by anybody else's beliefs or, I've always stayed true to my core and to my faith. And I think that is what's grounded us. It's kept us humble. It's kept us working hard. Yeah, I would say it's everything.
Yeah. Definitely everything. We seen his hand move within us and through us over the 18 years, navigating and leading and guiding us. And so that is our compass. That is our guide. That is what our business is built on. That is our core values, but also our business core values is integrity. It's honesty. Those things. That is just who we are. Yeah.
And y'all, she didn't say this in the beginning, but Miss Jessica just got married. She got married. It was this year, right?
Yes.
This year. And so we want to make sure we say congratulations on the podcast.
Thank you.
So y'all put that in the comments.
But
Congratulations.
we'll never forget it. We had 3 months to prepare.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well,
Yeah, quick, fast.
yeah, that's all that matters.
When you
Hey,
know, you know.
Listen. All right, so one last question, I guess, would be this. What's next for what you are doing? Like, what do you see and envision the next 20 years to look like?
I think I was talking about how we stopped coaching and consulting, and in 23, I think I didn't finish the story. But in 2023, we had a strategic planning meeting, and we made a decision. We looked at all the things we've done all over the years: home care, adult daycare, personal care homes. Like, what do we really want to do? What if we could do just one thing and be the best at that one thing? What would it be? And of course, we looked at the margins and we looked at work-life balance and all the things like, what do we really want to do? And we made that decision to make adult day the main thing for us for so many reasons. One, the margins were there. The work-life balance was there. It's a great place to go. Like, I love going to the centers because they make you happy. They tell you their stories and all their wisdom. And so it was a decision to make adult day the main thing. And that's when we did an acquisition. We brought on 3 centers at one time, went from 2 to 5. And then we decided to franchise. We decided to franchise that model because it was franchisable. It was, one, we had multiple locations, so we knew it could be done. 2, it made sense financially, which was the biggest part, because we had experienced what it looked like when we was coaching and consulting when it doesn't make sense for an owner. And so the numbers made sense. It was passive. Like, we don't have to be in the centers to run the centers. The centers team run the centers. We just oversee it. So it had all the ingredients for a franchise. And so, what the future looked like for us is franchising, where we help other individuals invest and have their own center in their own community. And we wrote a BHAG, a Big Hairy Audacious Goal in 2013.
2013.
That we would be a nationally recognized company. And I think we've been trying to get there ever since. And every little bit of the way, a piece unfolds that help us get there. And that's where we'll be in 20 years. We'll be there before 20 years, but yeah, that's the future for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you all this, because a lot of times people see it feels like a big gap. So we have a lot of people that come into this space, and there's this day one for them. They're starting their business, and they are overwhelmed because they're learning, right? They're learning about themselves. They're learning about how to build their business. But from where you all sit to where they're at, that seems like a long jump. What would you say to encourage them in that process?
What would you say? For someone starting out?
What is it? It's all necessary. The steps, every step is necessary. As a new entrepreneur, you have to go through the steps. We didn't just go from one to where we are today. We had to do the trials, the errors, the pivots, all the things, those things shape and make you, because when you get things overnight, you don't value it. So value the process. The process is necessary. It's necessary, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Jess, because I think as a new entrepreneur, it's important to build your foundation that leads and guide you. And when I say that, write your mission statement, write your core values, write your vision. And our mission statement has not changed in 18 years. It's to improve the lives of seniors by preventing seniors from going to a nursing home, keeping them safe in their community longer through every team member being caring, compassionate, comforting, and kind. Our core values, I think we added 2. We started out with 5 and now we got 7. It was integrity, honesty, caring, reliability. I think we added on loyalty and safety. And so now we have 7, but mostly through 18 years, it's been unchanged. Our vision is to be the provider of choice in the communities that we serve. Like, those things have been unchanged. And so I'm saying that because through the years, you'll get prompted, you'll get people will try to get you to do something else or to add something else to your business line. We can do a lot of things. We could do medical equipment if we wanted to. But because of we had that core foundation that guided us, we were able to stay straight and narrow. And so I would say that would be important to build that foundation. That's your compass. It guides you, it leads you, and it keeps you straight on your path when other things keep coming, temptations or different things keep coming to pull you in different directions. I think that was important for us.
So I want to say thank you, ladies, for joining us on this episode of Live the Grace Life. You all, this has been a great episode because their story is so impactful. Your story of being able to, from the pivots to the challenges, to all the things you've overcome, the mindset shift that you talk about, looking at how to sell a business, and that's not something that a lot of people talk about, but they can coach y'all on that, I'm sure, if you bring them in. And then the other part is seeing yourself as a CEO. That was one thing that I kind of heard in their story, is learning how to manage at newer levels. And that's something when you're starting off, you're not thinking about that. You start off, you're doing everything, but at some point you got to delegate. You got to let go because that allows you to grow. So any last words before we end this episode?
Listen, I can talk and talk and talk. It's layers to this, but I would say 2 last words.
Okay.
Just keep educating yourself. I love to read. Now I'm in the podcast because it's easier to consume the knowledge. But I was just sharing with Jessica last week. I said, I'm only watching podcasts of people that's made $1 billion because I want to change my mindset. I want to go to that level, so I got to change my mindset. So now I'm only listening to people who've done that. I'm reading a book now by Sheila Johnson. She was the first Black woman billionaire. But just keep educating because that is really how we learn. All these years, I haven't gotten a master's. I don't have a business degree, but I got a degree.
Yeah, you do.
And it's because we've been reading, we've been in classes, we haven't been doing a lot of classes lately, but starting out, that's another thing for younger entrepreneurs. Get in those classes. Learn how to build your business, learn how to manage your business. It was through classes, and so I would say just keep educating for sure.
I just got to comment on this because I really love that you said that, is that she said she's only listening to billionaire people who have made it in billionaire. And I do the same thing. Like, that's literally what I do. I want to surround myself and my ear around where I'm going. I don't know if y'all ever saw that Madam C.J. Walker movie on Netflix. I'm going to be honest with you. I watch it probably every other month because I love her story. And I know what's going to happen, but I'm so inspired every single time I see her go through the challenges, how she built that business, because the only way that you're going to get to that place is really allowing your thoughts to begin to believe and think at that level. And one thing that someone told me years ago, they said, when you walk into a room and someone is saying, and they're in a place, they're saying something profound, and they're living and have proof of what they're talking about, you want to watch how they think,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Don't be enamored about what they have. Watch how they think, and then develop those patterns within yourself so that you can begin to think at that level too.
Yeah.
Because there are, like you said, there are levels to this thing. 60,000, 100,000, 500,000, 1 million, and keep going. There's levels, and there are thought patterns that must shift. And so I just thought that was really good. So thank you again for joining us on this episode, Miss Eshonda Blue, Miss Jessica Wright-Finch. They're the founders of Innovative Senior Solutions. Listen, I want you to go follow them on their social media. I'm sure one day they're gonna write a book. I'm hoping they come on with it and write a book. And but definitely like and subscribe this episode, and we'll see you on the next episode.